Hey everyone, how are you all doing? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to be discussing my favorite books of 2024, but before we actually get into the video I do have some things to address. If you're not interested in hearing life updates, explanations, what's coming on the channel in the next little bit, then I will have timestamps so you can skip ahead to hear about my favorite books of 2024, but I do just feel like I need to explain some things to you guys, starting with the background and where we currently are. So we did in fact move out of my grandparents' house and into our brand new house, which is just so exciting. Like, I literally could not be happier to be in this house. I literally just set up these bookshelves yesterday and I'm just in love with them. The rest of the room, like this side of the room, not set up in the slightest. Where I'm currently sitting is where my desk will be going, so this angle will not be able to continue in exactly this way. It's gonna take a bit of time, I think, to figure out the exact right angle that I'll be able to film at, but for right now I'm taking advantage of the fact that there is no desk in the middle of this room so I can get the full view of the bookcases in the background. But yes, we did move in the middle of December, which is why there's been a lack of videos recently. It's just been very hectic in terms of moving and working during the holiday season. It was so crazy. I worked so much, I barely even was reading, so just not conducive to making videos. I did film some videos, but I just haven't gotten the time to edit them. And then I didn't want to put out some videos when I knew that I wanted to get like my favorite books of the year video and like a TBR, which I'm gonna be filming after this. I knew I wanted to get those out of the way as quickly as possible. Already they're going up weeks later than I would like them to. So there are videos coming that were filmed in my grandma's house. I'd also have some moving-esque videos like setting up these books, so expect a home library video coming soon. There will be multiple parts, but the first part with the bookshelves will be coming hopefully very soon. Yeah, I've got a few videos filmed that I just have to like get around to editing and getting up for you guys, so hopefully a lot of content in the coming weeks for you all. That's kind of where I've been, why there's been a lack of videos recently, and why this video in particular is coming out a lot later than I would have liked. Ideally it would have gone up in the first week of the year, but regardless, we are here now and I am so beyond excited to talk about my favorite books of 2024 with you all. Normally I try to cap it at 10 and then give you guys some like honorable mentions. I don't think I'm really gonna do that this year. I think I'm just gonna share all of my favorite books of the year and we're just not gonna think too hard about it, you know? So first I want to talk about a couple of books that I do not own yet. I own one of them, but I forgot to grab it. So we're just going to talk about them all together, put pictures on the screen, and it will be fine. But first I want to talk about I don't even know what the series is called. Is it just the Part of Your World series? I don't know, but these books by Abby Jimenez. So we have Part of Your World, Yours Truly, and Just for the Summer. I don't know which one's my favorite. I wrote down Yours Truly. I think it's because there's anxiety rep in that book, which, you know, always has a special place in my heart. But honestly, like, I flew through Just for the Summer. So if there is a competition going on here between the three books, it is 100% between Yours Truly and Just for the Summer. Although I also adored Part of Your World. These are the first books I've ever read from Abby Jimenez. I'm curious to look into her other works to kind of see what else she has going on. I think she's got a new book coming out this year, which is very exciting, so I'm going to look into that as well. But I got into these books because Peyton from Peyton Reads convinced me to, and she also bought me a copy of Just for the Summer, which was so kind of her. But sometimes when a book is super hyped up on BookTok or just in the book community in general, I tend to get a little bit hesitant, especially with the romance books. I feel like there are just so many popular romance books and a lot of them I just don't think would be my thing. But because Peyton recommended it and it did seem kind of interesting, I decided to go for the Abby Jimenez books and I really enjoyed them. There are a few things that I love more than an interconnecting companion romance series. I just love being able to like read separate stories but like have characters connect. I love that so much. I eat it up, being able to like see characters from the previous book in this one and seeing where they are currently. And I truly just adored all of the characters in these books. The stories, their love stories were so cute. I think the complexity of the relationship in Just for the Summer was really special and captivating. I literally read that book in like less than 4 hours, I think. I was on a road trip coming home and we were at a rest stop I started the book after that rest stop and I finished it before the next rest stop. I did not want to put it down. I was so captivated. I was just flipping those pages, ingesting every little like nook and cranny of that book. I really loved it. But then yours truly, like I said, the anxiety rep in that one just really like hit home for me, and I really enjoyed seeing that kind of explored in the romance. So those are ones I definitely wanted to mention. I just don't own them all yet because I don't think there's a copy of yours truly that matches the height of Just for the Summer and Part of Your World. And I don't know why they would do that, but it hurts my soul. I've been looking and every copy I see does not match height-wise. So let me know if there's a copy that matches, because then I will buy it, but I haven't come across it yet. The next book is one of my more recent reads. I think I read it in December, and that is Dungeons and Drama by Christy Boyce. This was a recommendation from my friend Lorena, which is really shocking because she does not read contemporary romance books very often. And when she does, she doesn't normally love it. But this book focuses heavily on Dungeons and Dragons, and that's something that she is interested in, and that's why she picked it up. I also have a coworker who loves this book and also recommended it. So I had two people really like going hard at this book, convincing me to read it, and I was not disappointed. I was actually thoroughly surprised. I am not a Dungeons and Dragons kind of girly. That's just not something I've ever gone into. It's not something that I really have interest in getting into, but I feel like in the context of books, like reading about characters who enjoy it, I find that I enjoy it as well, you know, like in Stranger Things, or there's another book that I like called Chaotic Good that also deals with Dungeons and Dragons. And I think just like the passion and the commitment and the excitement that the characters have for it gets me excited as well. So I actually really enjoyed the Dungeons and Dragons aspect to this book. But anyways, this book is fake dating, and I'm not gonna lie, we all know that's what drew me to this book. Like that's really like the tipping point over what got me to read it. If a book says fake dating, we all know I'm 10 times more likely to read it. It's a simple science, truly. Fake dating in this book was hella cute. It was so good. Like I listened to the audiobook, and I don't often listen to audiobooks on my like commute to work. Typically go for like music instead. I just did not want to stop listening to this book. I think I listened to it in the span of a day. Like I listened to it when I was getting ready, and then I didn't want to stop, so I listened to it on my way to work. I just did not want to stop. But as I was like on the train to work, I had to like stifle a smile, like a giddy little smile, because cute things were happening and I wanted to express it on my face, but I couldn't because I was on public transit and I didn't need people looking at me funny. Okay, but cute things were happening in this book, and it was very hard to not like physically show how much I was enjoying it. But oh my god, I loved it so much. Like this book is like everything that I love about YA contemporaries, and it just like further proves to me why this is my favorite like genre and age category, and why I don't think I'm ever going to stop loving it. They just simply hit so good. Like they're so cute, they're so pure. But this book also deals with our main character wanting to become a Broadway director, so there's some like drama theater stuff in here as well, which is another thing that I just love reading about. Like any book that has musical theater in it for some reason gets a big thumbs up for me. It's just always so good. Yeah, highly recommend this book. Highly recommend listening to the audiobook. It was super adorable. Like I don't know what it was about it, but it was just so cute. Okay, the next book is an adult romance, and it's one that I read at the very beginning of the year, and I actually have a video where I read this. So if any of these books are featured in a video, I'll make sure to link them down below. But this one is Roomies by Christina Lauren. I read this in my reading reading 7 Christina Lauren books in 7 days, which was insane, and I'm surprised that I can differentiate them in my head at all. Why I did that challenge to myself, I have no idea, but it was so much fun, and I enjoyed most of the books. I would say I enjoyed them all, just some more than others. But this, I think, was this the first one I picked up in the video? It might have been, and it remained my favorite throughout the entire video. Like there was no world where this was not my favorite coming out of that video. It's a marriage of convenience book, and I ate that shit up. Oh my god. So marriage of convenience is basically just like fake dating but on crack, and it's my favorite thing in the entire world. Like, it's just elevating my favorite trope into something just so delicious. It's so good. Yeah, so basically our main character has a crush on this Subway performer, and she kind of like is crushing on him from afar, and then she ends up getting him an audition with her uncle, who is a Broadway director. But turns out that he's from Ireland, which I'm not gonna lie was a huge plus in my books as well. I just kept picturing him as Niall Horan, I'm not gonna lie to you. But he doesn't have like a working visa to work in the States, and so our main character naturally suggests that they, you know, get married. So they get married, and it's so cute, and obviously real feelings arise, and this book was just absolutely everything that I love in a romance book. Like, it was so cute, and I feel like I need to reread it because I read it a year ago now. We all know I have the memory of a goldfish, but oh my god, like there were just so many cute scenes, and I always say that I remember the feeling that I have while reading more than I remember like actually what happened, and I just remember feeling so giddy and happy while reading this book, and I think it easily made its way into my top Christina Lauren books, which is a pretty hard feat because there are some of their books that I just adore so viscerally, and I think this is now one of them. It is just so good, and it's a book that I've constantly thought about throughout the year. Like, oh, it's just stunning. We've got Marriage of Convenience, we've got An Irishman, we've got Broadway, we've got like Pining, we've got Betrayal, like all of it. So good. The next book is another adult romance. I think we have a lot of adult romances on this list, but is anybody surprised? No. And that is The X-Files by Jessica Joyce. Her debut novel, You with a View, I'm pretty sure made it onto my favorites list of 2023 as well, and her sophomore novel clearly is no different. I also annotated this one. I annotated her first book as well, and it was just so much fun. I don't often annotate a book on my first read, but because I'm kind of like mutuals with Jessica Joyce, I adore her. It just felt right to annotate it the first time. I knew that I was gonna love it, so I feel like all I need to read for you guys is the like little description at the top of the book, because I feel like it just sums the book up so perfectly. Are you ready? Estranged exes must stick close together to save their best friend's wedding after a string of disasters in this swoony and steamy second chance romance. Let's break this down, okay? Second chance romance. They're also, it doesn't say this in that little description, but I know they're childhood best friends to lovers, okay? Forced proximity. What more could you want? Honestly, what more could I want? Honestly, not much. Not much at all. This book was so good. I was gonna say delicious, but I don't want to use that too many times in this video because no. Jessica Joyce just blows me away with her writing. Like, she gets the emotions so well. She gets the cute romancy bits so well, and then the steamy bits are also so good. Oh, there's like, I can find literally no faults with her books. Like, I don't think I'm disappointed ever, and I'm so excited for her new book coming out this year. I think it's this year. Can't remember. Oh, like this line as well. As Georgia and Eli rush up to Napa Valley to pull off the perfect wedding, their old chemistry comes back in Technicolor. If I remember correctly, we don't really see many flashbacks to when they were together the first time. I do believe we see a few, but we don't see like a lot. Like, it's not a dual timeline kind of book. That's not what this book is. But with the limited amounts of flashbacks that we did get, you were able to feel why they loved each other so much and why being around each other is so difficult now. And I feel like just the way that Jessica Joyce wrote it was so poignant and beautiful, and it's literally everything I ever could have wanted. Like, if you have not picked up a Jessica Joyce book yet, you are seriously missing out because they're just so beautiful. They're so layered. It pulls on all of the heartstrings. The next book, my god, I have not stopped thinking about this book since I read it about 6 months ago, and that is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Okay, I love Holly Jackson. I love A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I really enjoyed Five Survived. This book, okay, I did not go into this one expecting to love it more than A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I didn't expect to come out of it being like, this is her best book to date. But that's exactly what happened. Okay, this is another one that Peyton bought for me, so thank you so much, Peyton. This book, I read it on a road trip, the same road trip that I read Just for the Summer on, but I was reading this one on the beach, which the vibe does not match. Okay, I don't know what made me pick this book up at that point, what made me feel like that was like an appropriate vibe match, but that's what I did, and I have no regrets because I was just sitting on the beach for hours just eating this book up. I would sit on the balcony of our hotel room and just read this book and have shock. Like, I could not keep the shock off my face at some things that were happening in this book. Like, you know how when I was reading Dungeons and Drama, I had to stifle the smile on my face on the train? I could not do that with this book, with my shocked expressions. Okay, my jaw was on the floor. I was like looking at the invisible camera off in the distance, watching me read. You know what I'm talking about. Like, if anybody was walking past our room, they would have seen me making a myriad of faces. It was insane. At no point did I truly know what was happening. Okay, if you don't know what this book's about, I'm not trying to give too many descriptions in this video because it's already going to be long enough, but I feel like you just need to know like the basic concept of this book. So our main character's mother disappeared when she was, I think, like 3 years old, 2 or 3 years old, like toddler, and no one knows what happened to her. She was never found, the body's never shown up anywhere, so nobody knows if she's alive or if she's dead. And the only person who was there to witness the like disappearance of her mom was our main character herself. What's her name? Belle. So Belle was the only one who was like witness to the situation, but she was a toddler, so she has absolutely no memory of what happened, which just frustrates everybody to no end, including herself, knowing that she is like the key to unlocking this mystery. But we're in present day, and there's a documentary being made about her mother called The Disappearance of Rachel Price. But while they're filming this documentary, Rachel Price, Belle's mom, comes back. She just waltzes back into the life one day with like no explanation. She doesn't say where she was or what happened to her. She just comes back, and therefore the documentary kind of takes a turn into being the reappearance of Rachel Price. And our main character Belle is really grappling with the fact that her mother's back, and she should be excited about that, but also she doesn't know her mother. She doesn't know this person that has just come back into her life, disrupting the kind of flow that her and her dad have gotten into, and everything just kind of feels really strange. Yeah, this book just took me on a wild roller coaster, and I literally have like yet to stop thinking about it, and I'm just in awe of Holly Jackson's mind. I think this really solidified her as becoming like one of my favorite like mystery thriller YA authors. I'm now sat. I will pick up anything you write, ma'am. Like, I'm here. I am ready. This next book should come as no surprise to anybody, but that is The Great Dating Fake Off by Libby Hart. Ever since Libby Hart started publishing books, her books have been on my favorites list at the end of the year. It's just inevitable. You know, it's going to happen. It's going to keep happening until the end of time, pretty much. This was her newest release of last year, and I'm obsessed with it. It's another fake dating book, but not in the traditional sense. So our main characters, what are their names? Nora and Sebastian. They go to a wedding and they're actually fake dating other people. But a little twist on this situation, just, you know, add another layer to it all, is Nora has a crush on Sebastian and vice versa. But they're both at a wedding, fake dating other people for very real reasons, but they end up falling for each other instead. It's like such an interesting take on the fake dating trope, where like they don't get together with the person that they're fake dating. Like, it is purely like platonic. It's like how everyone expects a fake dating to go. Like, the characters in their own real mind in real life are like, we're not gonna fall in love, like we're just faking it. But like in their cases, they actually are just faking it, and there are no real feelings involved because they have feelings for other people who are also fake dating somebody. It is awesome. It is so good. Like, Libby Hart never fails to come up with the most hilarious, like weird situations to put her characters in, and she just never fails to write a deeply humorous, chaotic, fun book that is swoony and steamy and adorable. Like, her books are just like 100% a fun time. Like, they are so good. I'm just obsessed. The tagline says, "One over-the-top Italian wedding, 2 fake couples, and a million hilariously disastrous possibilities." This is another one that I of course annotated. It was just so good. I just love when there are whole pages that I can't help but highlight the entire thing, because every single word deserves to be highlighted. You know, it's like when you're trying to study and you're like, only highlight the important things, but everything seems important. That's how I feel when I'm annotating her books. Like, literally everything is important, and everything must be noted and highlighted and circled and with exclamation points next to it. Like, That is how I feel reading Livy Hart books. It's always the death of my pink highlighter, the obliterator of my pink tabs. I never have any pink tabs after reading her books, and I always need to go in search of a new pink highlighter because I can't help myself when I read her books. Over here, I'm going to talk about another friend's book, and that is Us in Ruins by Rachel Moore. Oh my goodness. I actually haven't read my physical copy yet, otherwise this would be annotated, but I actually read it as a Google Doc earlier in the year before it came out. This book, so good. Okay, The Library of Shadows. I've got the French edition right there, but the Library of Shadows came out last year, and it's so good. I've read it multiple times now, and I was just so excited for her sophomore novel. I again will read anything that Rachel Moore writes. I adore her as a person, as a writer. I admire her so much, and her books are just so fun. They also hit an emotional punch, and they're just so this book is all about Margot, who goes on this archaeological trip with her class, but she is like constantly switching up her hobbies, trying to find like a new thing to like love and obsess over. And right now it's oh my god, I cannot speak. You guys know what I'm saying. She found the journal from the lost teenage explorer Van Keen. So she basically goes on this trip on a mission to like follow his map through his journal entries to find this vase's missing shards. But in her attempt to do that, she actually stumbles upon this statue that comes to life, and it's actually Van Keen. He was turned into a statue, and she has somehow broken the spell, and they are now searching for this vase together. It is so good. Like, what a fun concept, a statue come to life. This was full of like fun hijinks and fun little scenarios that they had to get out of. There was some good tension there because Margot, who is like kind of fallen in love with Van's words on the page, when he comes to life discovers that he's got a bit of a different vibe than he had in his journal, and he's like not who she expected him to be. So there's like tension there, and it's beautiful. There's like conflicting personalities, and he kind of doesn't want her following him around trying to find this vase, but she follows him around anyway. And she's also trying to find her place in the world, and she's trying to prove herself, and she's got some problems with her dad, and like it's a really meaningful book, but it's also just a lot of fun. I just adore Rachel Moore's writing style. It's so funny, so witty, but also really beautiful. Like, I just love her writing style so much. It's one of my favorites. The next book, yet again another adult romance novel, and that is a novel love story by Ashley Poston. So I feel like it's no surprise that another Ashley Poston romance novel has ended up on my favorites list of the year. Her books are just so kind of unique and fun. They are romance books, but they also always have like a magical twist to them. And in this one, our main character stumbles upon the fictional town from her favorite book series, and I just adore that so much. That's an idea that I've always thought would be so interesting if like the fictional became real. And this book, like, it did not disappoint. Our main character loves this book series, but the author passed away before she could finish writing the books, and so when she stumbles into this fictional town, things are kind of like up in the air. Things are not complete. Things don't fully make sense. And I just loved the implication of that. Like, I tabbed this book as well, which I've never tabbed one of her adult romances, and I don't know what came over me that made me tab this one, but I have a tab specifically for like quirky fictional town things, because all these little things kept like coming up, and I just like wanted to take note of them so I could like refer back to them. It's just so much fun, and I can totally see how this book would not be everybody's cup of tea, because I do think some people were disappointed by this book, and the ending did leave a little something to be desired. I don't love how the ending all came together. I do think it was a little bit odd. Just like there was like a really quick like switch of something, and I was like, why like you just wanted like a last little piece of conflict that I just felt like kind of cheapened the ending a little bit. But that aside, I loved everything else about this book. I thought it was so fun. I just love books about books, you know, and about book lovers, people who are just as obsessed with fictional worlds as I am. And I just like imagine being able to go into these fictional worlds, these fictional towns of these books that I love, and like seeing everything in real life. Like, oh, it would be so magical. I adore her books so much. Like, I respect Ashley Poston as a storyteller so incredibly much. Like, her books are just always so good. The next book was one of the Besties in Books book club picks for this year, and that is Stay With My Heart by Tashi Bouillon. Are we surprised that another Tashi Bouillon book ended up on a favorites of the year list? Absolutely not. There was no doubt in my mind that this was going to become a favorite book. Like, it's about boy bands. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Of course I'm gonna love it, especially knowing that Tashi Bouillon loves One Direction just as much as I do. But as always, I just adore Tashi Bouillon's writing, her characters, her romances, and this one was no different. But our main character, Liana, accidentally sabotages this up-and-coming band, and so she makes it her mission to help them find success. And in doing so, she obviously falls for one of them, which I just adore. And like, there were just so many cute moments. I just remembered something as I was talking. Like this little thing that they do together that was just so adorable. Like, oh my god, I need to reread this book. I feel like I need to just have like a Tashi Bouillon like marathon where I just like binge read the 3 books that she has out. She has another one coming out this year. I could actually like cry. I'm so excited. But I feel like I just need to reread all of her books. I've only ever reread Counting Down With You, so I feel like it's just a need at this point to reread them all, just really bask in the glory that is Tashi Bouillon. Her books are just so good, and I hope that she never stops writing cute YA contemporaries like this because they are just so adorable. Like, easily one of my favorite YA romance authors, some of my favorite books of all time, not just in their respective years that I read them. This book was just so much fun. It was a quick, easy read, and I'm really glad that me and Alyssa read it for the book club because we both ended up loving it to pieces, and I really enjoyed our discussion on the book. I thank the world every single day that we have Tashi Bouillon and that she's writing books. Like, a true blessing to the world, in my opinion. Okay, we're getting down to the last little stack of books here. The next one is another non-surprise. I feel like if you guys just like watch my channel, or if you know me really well and you know what books are coming out from authors that I love, then these lists are not very surprising. Like, if I was watching my channel, I would not be that surprised by most of these books. But the next book is A Funny Story by Emily Henry. Again, has there been a favorites list since she started publishing adult romances where one of them has not been on the list? I don't think so. All I remember while reading this book is I was in a bad mood. I was going through a time, was not very good, and I was nervous to pick this book up, and I was worried that the bad mood that I was in, the bad headspace that I was in, was going to negatively impact my reading experience of this book. So I was hesitant to pick it up and read it because it could have gone either way. It could have like impacted my enjoyment of the book and ruined it for me, or it could have taken me out of the funk that I was falling into. And thank God it did take me out of the funk that I was like in. It definitely improved my mood the day that I read it, and it just like allowed me that escape from my own life that I desperately needed at the time. Like, I just needed to not think about anything that was happening in my life and in my own personal problems. I just really needed to like fall into somebody else's problems and enjoy those. And I know some people don't find escape in reading books set in the real world, but I am the complete opposite. If it's a story and characters that I adore and fall in love with, then I can forget about my life entirely and just like fall into the story. And that's exactly what this book did for me. I 100% just fell in love with these characters and the story. This is another very interesting fake dating book. Are we surprised that there's like 3 fake dating books on this list? I'm not surprised. But this book's really hard to explain. Like, I'm gonna need these character names because I'm gonna forget them all. But basically, Daphne is engaged to Peter. Peter breaks off the engagement with Daphne and instead gets engaged to his childhood best friend Petra, who is dating Miles. So post-breakup, Daphne has nowhere to live because she was living with Peter, and Peter wants Petra to move into their house. So Daphne has to move out, and she decides to move in with Miles since Petra has just left him. So these 2 people whose exes are now together and left them for each other, they're now living together, and it's such a comical, funny like situation, but then made funnier when they receive wedding invitations for Peter and Petra's weddings, and then they decide that the best way to get back at Peter and Petra is to pretend to date each other. The fake dating in this book is not super in your face. There's not a whole lot of scenes where they have to like put on this facade of dating each other, so it's not super like heavy-handed. It's not the main focus, I would say, of the story. It's more so of the friendship that Miles and Daphne develop with each other, and then the eventual romance that blooms from that. And it's more about like the characters' journeys, which I just appreciate so much. While I'm the hugest fake dating fan, I don't mind that it wasn't like the absolute sole focus of this book. Like it wasn't the strongest component of the story, if you will. I also love that our main character Daphne was a child's librarian. I thought that was just so adorable. Like she worked in the children's section of a library and it was just so cute. And I loved any scene where she was in the library. It was so much fun. Just the vibes of this book were so good, and Emily Henry just truly never disappoints. Like I'm so excited for her new book coming out this year, and like just everything about this book was so fun. I need to reread it. Like I need to reread it right now. I need to re-experience the beautiful connection that Daphne and Miles had. Okay, I need it. It's so good. Next up, another adult romance. This is the last one on the list. The Breakup Tour by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegmund Broca. I'm not surprised by this one in the slightest. This one I also read near the very beginning of the year, and it's another book that's just been on my mind this entire year. I definitely almost reread it a couple of times because this book was just so addicting, so fun, and so cute. It's definitely inspired by Emily and Austin's love for Taylor Swift, and that felt really obvious to me, and it was adorable. Again, it's another second chance romance book, forced proximity. Our main character Riley has a song that just blows up and kind of thrusts her into superstardom, and her ex-husband has kind of taken credit for being the muse behind this song when that could not be further from the truth. The song is actually about her college sweetheart, and so what does she do? She tracks down her college sweetheart and asks him if he is willing to come out and say that he is the muse of the song to kind of shut her ex-husband up. But his family business is kind of struggling, so before he agrees to coming out as the muse of her song, he says that he wants to go on tour with her so that he can, you know, get some money and save his family business. It's adorable. They end up sharing a tour bus, which is my favorite thing in the world. It was so good. And like, oh my god, like the final like love confession scene is one of the best that I've ever read. Like it had me swooning and kicking my feet. Okay, the next ones I've barely talked about this year because there was a boycott going on for the publisher, so I was not allowed to talk about these books, but I'm so happy to talk about them now, and that is Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. These books, oh my god, these books blew me away. I read them near the beginning of the year and I read them so quickly, and I became so utterly obsessed with them. I'm not even going to describe what these books are about because I'm sure you guys know, but there are magical typewriters. There's a magical war going on. Just everything about these books did it for me. Again, was hesitant to get into these ones because of the hype of them on BookTok, but I think I was really trying to enter my fantasy era this year, which is not very prevalent on this list, I'm not gonna lie. But I read more fantasy books this year than I normally do, and I'm like hoping to like continue that in 2025. But I was really determined to like get on my fantasy era shit, you know. I really wanted to read more fantasy, and these ones for some reason just called to me. It was probably due to the magical typewriter, I'm not gonna lie. These books were just everything to me. I know some people were disappointed by Ruthless Vows. I was not. I stayed up so late reading this book. It blew my mind. I cried. I definitely cried while reading this one. They were just so good, and I definitely need to read more Rebecca Ross books now. I just haven't like bit the bullet yet, but I so desperately want to like read more of her books because these were just so good. Like, if you're hesitating on picking these books up for any reason, please stop. Like, pick them up. They are beautiful. I loved these characters so much. I loved the like letters that they sent to each other, and how, you know, Iris didn't know who she was talking to, but Roman knew who he was talking to. If you guys know what these books are about, you know what I'm talking about. But like, these were just so good, and I adore these covers. These are the UK covers. I bought them off Pango Books. Obsessed with them. I do need to get my hands on the original US covers, but I adore them. I wish that I could have talked about them immediately after reading them because my brain is definitely fuzzy on the details, so it's kind of hard to talk about, but I adore them so much, and I cannot wait to reread them probably this year. I'm not gonna lie, I loved them so much. Okay, this last book I'm cheating a little bit with because this was not my first time reading it. I read this book for the first time in 2021, I think. And then I think 2021. Yeah. And then I think 2022, potentially. I think I've read it every year since 2021. I could be wrong, but it's The Last Love Song by Kaylee Holford. It came out this year, which is why I'm including it on this list. But my first time reading it was a couple of years ago, before she even had an agent. I adore Kaylee. She's one of my closest like writing friends. She is so amazing. I fell in love with this book the second I started reading it. The opening scene alone like had me so incredibly hooked on this story and on her writing, and I was anxiously anticipating the final like copy coming out so that I could annotate it and I could love it and I could talk about it with you guys. This book is just one of my absolute favorites. I annotated it so much. It's chock full of annotations. There's something so special about Kaylee's writing. It's descriptive and beautiful, and the character work that she does and the like relationships that she has, not only the romantic one but the platonic ones and the familial ones, are so beautiful and deep and have so many layers to them. This book is basically all about our main character Mia trying to like learn about her mother and trying to connect with her mother, who has passed away when she was small, and so she doesn't really remember her, doesn't know her in the way that she would want to know her. Her mom is a late country star, and so everybody kind of feels like they know her mom. They only know like Tori Rose is her like stage name, but they don't know Tori Peters, the more like human side of her, the person, not the star. And so Mia is kind of on this journey to discovering who Tori was as a person, you know, getting to know pieces of her that other people don't know. Basically, her mom leaves her a graduation gift, and it's a scavenger hunt around their town to discover pieces of her life story and to, you know, kind of get to know her a little bit more. It's kind of like her last gift to Mia. It's also inspired by Mama Mia. Mia doesn't know her dad, doesn't know who her dad is. There's like two possibilities of who he could be, and she doesn't know who it is. So she's also on a mission to like figure out who her dad is. There's also songs throughout this book that Kaylee herself wrote, and they are so beautiful. Like, it's very rare for me to like truly care about song lyrics if they're in a book. I'm not gonna lie, most of the time my eyes glaze right over them. Not with this book. They are so poetic and beautiful. Like, Kaylee is a poet. They are so stunning. I feel like I've talked about this book so many times on my channel now that it's like, what is there even left to say? I don't know, but I'm just forever in awe of Kaylee's writing abilities and how talented she is, for how young she is as well. She's so young, especially when she was like writing this book, and she's been pursuing publication for so long, and I'm just in awe of her as like a human but also as a writer, and I just respect her and love her so much. And this book is just so good. It's forever one of my favorites, and I can't wait to read more from her in the future. But yeah, this book, perfection. Like, I literally could not scream about this book more if I tried. It's one of my favorite books of all time, not just this year. Oh my goodness. Okay, so that brings us to the end of my favorite books of 2024. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a huge thumbs up. Comment down below and let me know some of your favorite books of 2024. Also, let me know if you've read any of these books that are my favorites. I would love to know and discuss that with you guys in the comments. But yeah, I hope you guys are excited for all of the content I have coming your way. Some were filmed in my grandma's house, some were filmed here, so just ignore the inconsistency timeline wise with these next coming videos. Yeah, I hope you guys are excited. Subscribe if you've not yet already so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Like, trust me, you're gonna want to see the reorganization of these shelves. I'm so excited to share the entire library office like video series with you guys. It's gonna be so much fun. I will see you guys next time. Bye.